Good evening. Welcome to our Thursday, March 30, 2017 edition of the Government News Brief. In the news this evening, municipalities, NDCs benefit from equipment to establish help desk and support agriculture activities. Several communities along the Linden Highway get potable water for the first time in decades, and modified tendering process underway for residents to participate in infrastructural works in their communities. These and other stories when the news returns. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. I am Renetta LaFleur. Here are the details. 6 local government organizations received help from the Caribbean Local Economic Development CARILED project to support business facilitation desks and agriculture at their respective councils. Details from Zanil Williams.
The Business Facilitation Desk will support the scaling up of activities and services which would assist local entrepreneurs to develop small and medium-sized businesses within their communities. Minister of Communities Ronald Bulkan, speaking at today's handing over ceremony, thanked the Canadian government for the considerable support which has been extended and provided to local councils.
The CARILED program, of course, has had a huge positive impact in providing support not only to those local government organs that have been named and identified, but to a wider core of councils who have benefited from the training program as well as the manuals that have been generated during the life of this program.
Minister Bulkan notes the process of renewal and rehabilitation is challenging but has been made easier because of the CARILED support. Councillor Development Cooperation of the Canadian High Commissioner Jan Sheltinga says CARILED is pleased to support the local efforts to improve the services to citizens.
We recognize that everyone has their part to play, and of course the private sector and small and medium business enterprises in particular have a very strong role to play in helping to harness the potential for entrepreneurs. Trying to cut through the red tape is an important area that we're all working at, both here in Guyana and in Canada. So any assistance that can be given to small and medium enterprises and entrepreneurs is always welcome.
The equipment handed over to the local councils comprised a complete computer system, a printer, a workstation, a secretarial chair, and office fans. In addition to the help desk equipment, the Mocha Arcadia NDC also benefited from a number of farming tools. Meanwhile, Mayor of Linden, Kerwin Holland, thanks the government for seeing the importance of empowering the local government organs.
I must say that the system was very fractured, but I want to thank the government for seeing the importance of empowering the local government organs. And I want to also thank government for seeing partnership as an important tool in the rebuilding process. And partnering with CARILED, I believe, is a very important factor in this process. We've benefited tremendously from the CARILED program and the Ministry of Communities.
The local government councils benefiting from the support are the municipalities of Corriverton, Rosehall, New Amsterdam, and Linden Towns. The neighborhood democratic councils, NDCs, of Mocha Arcadia and Soesdijk, Teus, Coverden received assistance in agricultural tools. Zanil Williams reporting for the Government News Brief.
Residents from the Silver Hill, Wayacabra, and Hillfoot communities along the Linden-Soesdijk Highway get potable water for the first time in decades. Neola Damon tells us more.
Close to 800 residents will benefit from the new water supply systems to the communities. Minister within the Ministry of Communities, Don Hastings Williams, says that the move is part of the government's agenda to provide a good life to all Guyanese.
The APNU-AFC coalition government had campaigned during the elections, a good life for all Guyanese, irrespective of if you're a Guyanese by birth or adoption or your ethnic background, political affiliation, we're all Guyanese. We don't want to segregate ourselves, Guyanese on the coast, Guyanese on the hinterland, Guyanese everywhere. Sometimes we say coastlanders and those in the hinterland, we're all Guyanese. And we all have similar needs. And one of our basic needs and main needs is safe potable water.
Minister Hastings Williams notes that the installation will also help residents save money for other uses instead of paying private persons to pump and transport water. GWI Managing Director Dr. Richard Van West Charles explains that the installation of the water supply system was made possible after a request by the Community Development Council (CDCs) for assistance.
Once we met with the residents here, we engaged one of our contractors who agreed to work with us in trying to achieve the goal of what we are doing today.
The GWI Managing Director says that his agency will be looking at other communities along the highway. Officials request that the residents care and maintain their water supply systems and stop those who would try to vandalize the equipment. The aquifer-based water supply system was installed at Waikabra at the cost of $51 million. The Silver Hill project was a collaborative effort between the residents, contractors, and GWI, which cost $1.1 million. Neil Damon for Government News Brief.
The tendering process has been modified as part of moves to ensure that residents are included in the implementation of infrastructure works in their communities. Namila Henry Rowe tells us how.
At a recent ministerial outreach to Cato, Region 8, Permanent Secretary PS of the Ministry of Communities, Emil Magarel, informed residents that a new stipulation will ensure that they would be part of the pre-tendering process with the potential contractors.
What I think happened over time is that a lot of the persons who bid for the big contracts that have to be done because of the law would sit either in Georgetown or in Madrid or somewhere else, see the document and prepare, and don't actually come and see the place where the project has to occur. So they don't know what is available in the communities. So this year the ministry has put in place a new tender document at different levels that will require that a contractor, if he's going to come to do work here in Cato, must have visited Cato at some time. And if he comes to Cato, he got to see the two show. And what is his business? I am bidding for this project that the regions is putting forward.
Magarel explains that the contractors awarded these works have to make use of any available skill set within the communities.
We put in some measure that ensure not only laborers are taken from the community, but if there's a skill set available, if they need carpenter and carpenter is available, if they need mason, masons are available, that person would have the advantage of the award of the contract if they're going to make that resident from the community a part of his project.
The new tendering stipulation will ensure that the residents continue to benefit economically from the implementation of government projects within their communities. Contracts for works with a monetary value of less than $5 million will be awarded to residents where the projects are to be located. Once the project value exceeds $5 million, the project goes to public tender. This tendering process sets out a number of regulations, including assets and documentation that the villages may not possess. This requirement prevents some communities from the tendering process. It will also ensure that the rights of the residents participating in the development program within their community continue. Namila Henry Rowe, Government News Brief.
The emergency medical service is being viewed as a success since its launch late last year. Isaiah Braffett reports.
Since the launch of the Emergency Medical Service EMS last November, the service has received and responded close to 1,000 calls. The rapid response time of no more than 15 minutes has been the determining factor whether a person lives or dies. National Medical Director Dr. Zulkifar Books explains.
The important thing is that when they have these patients, they can communicate with any of the emergency departments. So doctors in the emergency departments are prepared beforehand to help resuscitate patients that are coming in. What we found in multiple studies, this is worldwide, not just in Guyana, there is a golden hour when patients have motor vehicle accident. And if you get these patients within that time, you actually have more chances of saving their lives.
Chief Emergency Medical Technician Ron Morris says that many times when a call is made, the patient usually needs immediate medical assistance. Morris speaks about a critical piece of equipment that has helped to save lives.
one of the important things that we, or equipment that we have within that golden period, not just an hour, this is way less than an hour, is something called an automated external defibrillator. That's very important for patients who had cardiac arrest. That is, as soon as we get there and we put that on, that's actually giving them a greater chance of surviving versus not having it at all.
The EMS is expanding and building its capacity through training. Currently, 32 firemen and women are undergoing training to become emergency medical technicians. Additionally, the EMS is operating with 3 ambulances, which cover the areas from Diamond, East Bank, Demerara, to Monrepo, East Coast of Demerara. Isaiah Braffett, The Government News Brief.
Drainage works continue in the North and South Rheinveld communities. Delon Sanko has the details.
Early in March, the Ministry of Public Infrastructure and the Mayor and City Council launched a comprehensive draining program to alleviate flooding in North and South Rheinveld Gardens, Georgetown. This has also resulted in residents from the communities benefiting from employment, according to Community Coordinator at the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Nielsen McKenzie.
One of the features of the intervention of the Ministry of Public Infrastructure is the participation and direct involvement of the community-based groups in the areas that we try to intervene in. And in this case, in South Rheinveld, there's an active community-based group that is at present involved in the selection of personnel to work in those areas, as well as the oversight. And part of what we want to do at some stage is to be able to solicit the intervention, the participation of those community-based groups in the maintenance phase.
The community coordinator explains that for years, the silting and drainage work were not done, and as a consequence, this led to squatting and occupations of the dam, further compounding drainage issues. McKenzie says the work undertaken will help to minimize the likelihood of flooding during the rainy season.
The idea there is once you have effectively desilted South Rheinveld and improved its capacity to take the kind of water from North Rheinveld, we'll then do some level of desilting in North Rheinveld, which will bring the water, at least a temporary relief measure, through South into Caneview Avenue, which will effectively, I would say, short term up to medium term, help to alleviate some of the problems there in terms of flooding.
An extensive assessment of the communities were undertaken before works were carried out, McKenzie added.
Our engineering team at Ministry of Public Infrastructure did the recce of the area. We did several photographic shots of the area. We walked, talked with residents, looked at how we could first intervene, and then looked at the feasibility of the whole exercise.
The drainage program in North and South Rheinveld is expected to be completed by the end of May. Other areas that will benefit from similar work includes Allboystown, Newtown, Albertown, Queenstown, Kitty, Sobrianville, and parts of Bel Air Park. Delon Sanko for the Government News Brief.
This has been another edition of the Government News Brief. The details of these and other stories can be found on GENA's website. We encourage you to subscribe to our website and YouTube channel. You can also like and follow us on Facebook to be updated as the news unfolds. Do join us again tomorrow for another edition of the Government News Brief. I am Renetta LaFleur. Thank you for watching.